We are here today to try the New York Pizza Department, which was founded in 1996 by some people who came here from, I don't know, someplace, New York, I think. And they have 7 locations. They have predicated their entire brand on the notion that you don't get good New York pizza without New York water. And that's a whole can of worms to unpack all on its own. But for starters, you just have to find out if they have good pizza to begin with. So let's go find out.
When I set out to do these videos, I had to contemplate a lot of different scenarios. For example, my optimum goal is 52 pizza reviews this year, 1 a week. That's about what my caloric budget can handle, but failing that, I'll be fine with 26 to 51 pizzas for the year. The bulk of them will be from the Phoenix area. However, I am planning some overseas travel this year. How will that affect the schedule? Good question. Given limited time and limited calories, I decided on the rule of 1 pizza, 1 shot. I show up, have a pizza. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad, and you get the review you get. I suppose it's possible someday I'll drop into the best pizza restaurant in the world and catch them on a bad day and have a bad pizza. Would I give them a do-over if I knew that? Maybe. But that's kind of unfair on restaurants that are farther from my base of operations. So what do I do about a restaurant that I know can do better? Do I take previous visits into account in my calculations? I've been wrestling with that question a lot, and I need to answer it this week. Which brings us to the New York Pizza Department, or as it's almost universally called, NYPD. Which I'll add, the crossover from the world-famous New York Police Department and the once-popular TV series NYPD Blue makes for much extraneous noise when you're trying to do research. NYPD opened in 1996 in Scottsdale, Arizona, a suburb of Phoenix. Per their current website, using their traditional New York recipe didn't yield the results they wanted until they started shipping in water from their hometown of Yonkers, New York. The only archived version of their website I could find only goes back to 2001, where they are touting the importance of the water, although there were no obvious claims that the water physically came from New York. Also, let's be clear, they do not claim to be using New York water now. They state that they, quote, went to great lengths to source water from their hometown of Yonkers, New York. They took samples of this water to Culligan, ensuring that the pH balance, mineral content, and lime scale matched precisely with the water back home. And also that, quote, today, while we no longer rely solely on shipments of water from New York, we still maintain a careful balance. Every 6 months, we receive a modest shipment of New York water, adjusting our filters accordingly to maintain that perfect balance. End quote. Note the interesting shift from they to we between those two quotes from the same undated press release. This raises all sorts of interesting questions. For example, if they find it necessary to resample the water every 6 months, does that mean that the water in New York is constantly changing? If the water is so important, wouldn't that mean that pizzas made in New York would be changing all the time too? If I sound like I'm making a big deal out of the water, it's not me, it's them. This is not some trade secret that gives them the pizza edge. This is boldly and loudly proclaimed as you walk in the door. Unless it seemed like it, I'm not arguing any of this. I have no doubt that the tap water in New York tastes better than the tap water in Phoenix. Water is a major component of dough. If the water in 2 different locations tastes different, otherwise identical dough made from the different water will likely taste different. The problem here is that no amount of water will save your pizza if the rest of the pizza isn't very good. I told you this week I needed an answer to the question of how much prior history should count, and that's because I have a lot of history, good and bad, with NYPD. I've had pizzas at NYPD going all the way back to the 90s at their original location. I remember making the trek out there when I first heard about their water claims. I'm sure I've easily had 30 or more pizzas at NYPD, and some of them have been excellent. Most of them have been pretty decent, and a few of them have been quite poor. I've also had some terrible experiences with their staff at one location in particular that was elevated to corporate management for resolution. NYPD is a mixed bag, but on balance, I still expect a decent pizza when I go there. That is not what I got at the 7th Avenue and McDowell location on February 3rd at around 1 p.m. I don't really believe that you can judge the mood of the chef, or what the hell, let's call him the pizzaiolo. But if I were to take a guess that day, I'd say indifferent would sum it up. We actually had two separate pizzas. Both were the same. They were undercooked. They hadn't managed to bring out the flavor of the mozzarella. The sauce was lifeless and tart, as if they had missed out on some of the ingredients. But it was also almost the only thing with flavor. The pepperoni was sparse and ordinary. But how about that dough made with the faux New York water? My son, while indicating the big sign on the wall hyping the New York water, snarked that they must drink purified water in New York. He was right. The crust didn't have much flavor. It would have been better if it had no flavor at all, because there was one flavor you could taste: the taste of uncooked flour. This particular pizza was D-worthy, but do I grant them any leeway because of past performance? It has not escaped my notice that there has been a downward trend in NYPD's pizzas since the pandemic. Perhaps their time has come and gone, and they're just coasting into oblivion. It wasn't as bad as the Illuminati's the other day, so on balance, I'm going to nudge them into the C category, and I do hope that if you go there, you'll get a better pizza. Now, to the price. This is a problem. I accidentally ordered a lunch special, which is a combination of an 8-inch Maiza-sized pizza and a drink for $12.49. I can't use that combo to calculate the square unit cost of the pizza, so referring to their menu prices, they would charge $10.48 for the pizza by itself. At 22 centimeters across, that's 380 square centimeters, or 2.8 cents per square centimeter. That puts it towards the top of the tables, tied with Doughbird. So in the final analysis, is it the taste of the water that makes a great pizza? No, it's the taste of the pizza. Wherever they are, a chef must take into account the ingredients and the conditions at hand and tailor their recipe accordingly. There is no magic pizza ingredient, just the skill and the resources of the pizzaiolo. Next time, we're going to St. Louis. But not really. But until then, I hope you get a chance to have a great slice of pizza.